what a career it's been for Bryan Danielson. And a lot of people think that may have been his last match for quite a while, dropping the world title to Jon Moxley. You were on the call. What a crazy scene that was to close the show. Take us back to Wrestle Dream. What's going through your mind as you see the final minutes?
Well,
Career?
sometimes, Conrad, it's best for one to just lay out. At the end of the match, I was silent because I didn't know what I needed to say to continue to sell the moment and the fact that Bryan Danielson, by his own word, he said the day he loses the title is the day he's done. And he obviously lost the title. So I take him among any wrestler I've ever met at his word. I didn't know what to say. I was serious. Why didn't you say something? Not my people, but just some fans. And there was nothing I could add that would help it. The pictures and the natural sounds, in my opinion, told the story very well. So that's why I laid out at the very end. I know Excalibur got very emotional. Yeah, he cried. I didn't get that far into it, but I appreciate his passion. And so anyhow, that was a great match. I had two matches. I had Jericho and
Mark Briscoe.
Mark Briscoe. Thank you. And I think I called him. I don't know if I ever called him Jay or not. Hopefully I didn't. I don't think I did because nobody called me out on it. And they'll always jump on your mistakes. So, but it was a really good match. They told a great story. It was physical. It was intense. If Moxley could bring that much passion out of Bryan, then good for him. It's not that Bryan is not passionate, but you kind of had to go to a different level. You had to go to a different place with this scenario. And like I said, I talked to Bryan before the show. Actually, he dressed in the same locker room that I was in, and I said, "What are you going to do if you lose?" Because I didn't want to know right then what the finish is going to be. I just didn't need to know. I can see it on the monitor, and I'll call it to the best of my ability. So he said, just like I said, when I lose the title, I'm done. Full-time wrestling. That added that little caveat to it.
Yeah.
So what that tells me, obviously, and us, creepy-minded old wrestling fans, he's going to wrestle again somewhere. One would assume, based on what he said, but there's no guarantee of that. He may change his mind and want to get back in the fray and try to win the title back and then retire. Hell, who knows? I don't have any idea. But I know for right now he's done. And we always hold out hopes for our favorites. He's one of the nicest, easiest to work with guys I've ever worked with in 50 years, Conrad. I mean, he's honorable. He keeps his word. He works his ass off. He doesn't take any days off, shall we say. So I'm a bigger fan of Bryan Danielson today than even I was last Saturday in Tacoma. So it was an emotional night, to say the least. We had a hell of a good show. I thought this pay-per-view was excellent.
I enjoyed the pay-per-view too. It always feels like AEW over delivers, and boy, they did in a big way on this one. Obviously, the story of Bryan Danielson and what's next for him and his life, not just his career, but his life, remains to be seen. You and I are recording just moments before AEW Dynamite goes live. I'm sure we'll be talking about the fallout from that in the coming weeks. And of course, before you know it, Full Gear is going to be here. But as far as what everybody's talking about in AEW right now, man, that trios match, or I guess it's not a trios match, it was a three-way dance, if you will, for the international title. Yeah. Takeshita is now the new international champion. He was in there with Ricochet and Will Ospreay. Fans went bananas for this one. Did you get a chance to catch that match? What'd you think, Jim?
Yeah, we have monitors in our dressing room, and those guys really turned it out. They gave it everything they had. They took chances. I think all of them advanced their own individual games. Just was an outstanding performance by all three guys. They took it to the next level. And I am sometimes simply amazed, and this no disrespect to the other guys, but Osprey is special. He's really, really special. And so I'm happy I got to watch it as a fan in our dressing room. So it was good. Hey, one thing that's on my mind that I want to clear up, Connie, is that I said something regarding Mercedes Mone that she had not rung my bell, shall we say. That was no disrespect meant to her. It's all depending on how you're booked and who you're working with and the scenario, the storyline. And I think she's been short a storyline. And so therefore I haven't got to feel that grit and that aggression. She's very athletic and she's a beautiful woman, but golly, I just I don't. She could be used a lot more efficiently. I think. I'm not knocking the company, but she's a significant investment, and when she gets. I'm anxious to see how it all works out when she gets into a scenario where at some point in time she's going to have to lose and lose a title, lose one of those belts, I guess. But we're lucky to have her, and it looks like I'm eating my. What do you call it when you? She's. I'm kind of trying to. I don't want to take it back, but I'm just saying.
No, I don't think so. I mean, let me say what I think you're trying to say.
Okay, thank you.
The best is yet to come from Mercedes Mone and AEW. We haven't seen her at her peak yet.
Nope.
That's not to say that she's been held back or
No.
Any of that. It's just, hey man, Austin wasn't at his peak on every single week either. Creatively, we got to have everything flowing in the right direction. The timing's got to be right. We've yet to have that great home run story that we can all sink our teeth into with Mercedes Mone.
Agreed.
But she's got plenty of time left on that contract, so I feel fair in saying the best is yet to come from Mercedes and AEW.
I wholeheartedly agree. I like her. She's very personable. She takes a lot of pride in what she wears and her music and all those things that a lot of talents just take for granted and move on about their business. Not her. She pays attention. I'm just saying that how she has been booked and the opponents that she's worked with, she's done a series of one-offs. And that's hard to get over when you're doing a series of one-offs. You don't have time to sink your teeth into a personal issue. And if you don't have a personal issue, in my world where good old JR resides, personal issues are everything. And to have a great personal issue, one has to have several instances where you are competing or fighting or brawling or whatever with your adversary. But I'm a big fan of her work. It's just I think she could be even more effective. And I agree with you, Connie. The best is yet to come for her. So I just wanted to clear that up. It got out there. Of course, some people ran with it that JR doesn't like Mercedes Mone. No, I don't. That's not it at all. It's not even close. I'm a fan of her work, and she's made herself a star, a big star. And we can utilize that star power if done correctly. So I just wanted to get that off my chest, shall we say, and I appreciate you helping me out.
Well, I really want to pick your brain about another talent that I'm really excited is going to get another bite at the apple. He's now in AEW. I'm talking about Shelton Benjamin, and we've seen him making his debut on camera for AEW. I think everyone listening to this universally likes Shelton Benjamin. Like, that dude is one of the most beloved figures in wrestling. You never hear anyone say anything negative about Shelton Benjamin. There's never been a problem off the field or with reliability. Like, there's no valid criticism of Shelton Benjamin that I've seen as a human being. But I felt like for a long time, man, he's such a superstar athlete. I don't know that he's really been given the quote unquote push that he deserves.
He hasn't.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in AEW because we might see, I don't know, but we might see Shelton Benjamin as a badass heel. Like, sign me up for that in AEW, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just get him out there and letting him sink his teeth into some sort of issue that becomes a personal issue. And it looks as if, based on what I've seen, and I don't know any more than the fans watching on TV, it looks to me like, from where I have been sitting, that that's where it's headed. I've said this many times, Conrad, and that there was one recruiting class that we signed that included Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar and Dave Batista and John Cena. Pretty good group. But the best athlete I signed in that group was Shelton Benjamin. When we do drills or stuff, and you're talking about some high level athletes here, he blew everybody's ass away. And the only thing where we screwed up, in my opinion, in the long haul, looking back at it, is we didn't help Sheldon enough with his TV persona, his speaking skills. There should have been more time invested in that instead of just completely relying on him to just to wrestle. He needed the same treatment that a top guy would get, and he didn't get it in WWE at that time. So I'm with you. He's got a great upside. We said this about Mercedes Mone. The best is yet to come. I think, as far as Shelton Benjamin is concerned, the best is yet to come there as well. And I think we're all going to be pleasantly surprised and maybe even shocked at how good he can be.
No doubt. Sign me up. We're on the Shelton bandwagon here, and we're all